Well, the Prime Minister has delivered his strongest hint yet. There will be changes to Stage 3 tax cuts, which will deliver some much-needed relief to low-income earners.
And we're likely to find out just what that will be when Labor MPs gather today for a crisis meeting. Yellow Brick Road Executive Chairman Mark Bouris is here to take us through it all. Mark, good morning to you. They're calling it a crisis meeting. What changes do you think will be confirmed?
Window dressing. I think what they, by the way, the media's talking about it already, but I think what they're proposing is that they're going to take some of the tax cuts that have been promised in the Stage 3 tax cuts from the last election, by which they got elected. They're going to take some of the stuff out of the higher income bracket, those benefits, and pass it down to the lower income bracket. Overall, it's just a shift in tax cuts from one group to another group.
A lot's been made about the sort of deceitful nature of this and being called a bit of an election lie, broken promise. But this is aimed at helping those who perhaps need it most in our community. So will it actually do that?
Well, I don't think so, because if it does, it's only going to be marginal. So people on $200,000 a year, for example, largely they've got bigger mortgages. They've got bigger expenses. So I don't know whether or not it's going to actually do much to the cost of living for the people at that end of the table, because they're actually going to be in more trouble than the people who the benefits are now being passed to, which is people under $150,000. This is just a shift, a social shift in welfare by the government from one group to another group.
At the lower level, what, it's $5 a week or something?
It's nothing. It's like...
So you can't even get a coffee for that these days.
It's $400 a year or something like that.
The larger debate on tax reform is an interesting one. The AFR's got a terrific article about it today. Have all sides of politics squibbed that up until now? Yeah,
they're totally, because it's just too big a mountain to climb. And I've been saying for a long time, why don't you just change the GST? You know, if you really... And you pay extra tax if you spend more money. That seems to me the fairest way to do it, instead of just moving around from one group to another group and depending on who's the biggest voter for my particular party. I mean, let's just get fair income. Let's change the GST from 10% to 15%, and we can actually push it up to 15% and pull it back down to 10% as and when we need to, along the way that the RBA does with interest rates.
Well, talking about the RBA, I mean, are they going to be concerned about these tax cuts now? Is this going to add to inflation? Obviously, they're trying to curb it.
Well, maybe. The government would argue, no, it's not going to cause more inflation.
Been factored in and all that.
Yeah, we're going to say that, and they're going to say, well, what we're really trying to do is create welfare for these people, because these people aren't going to spend more money because they're struggling. The RBA won't like it anyway. And by the way, I don't like it, if you ask him for my opinion and a lot of Australians' opinion. It's just another broken promise. We just don't want any more broken promises, particularly around tax.
If I was the Premier of Queensland, I'd make Queensland a tax haven.
Because you're a Queenslander. It already is a tax haven. It already is a haven for blokes like you. You keep winning state of origin year after year.
Dips in and out.
But why do you have to do that? The year hasn't even started. We're talking about rugby league.
I know, you brought it up.
Good on you, Mark. Love your work, mate. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Anthony Albanese has